Hey guys, how's it going? This is Rudy, and I wanted to put out a video today. I had a few moments before we started my wife's birthday party. She had a birthday Friday, so a lot of people were coming over, and I had a few minutes. So I wrote some notes on Primrose Paths, and a Primrose Path is a path that you're walking down, and it feels like a path of righteousness. It feels like, it's laden with gold, it's got flowers, and you just think everything is hunky-dory in the world. But in actuality, you're being deceived. And I wanted to offer some arguments of our enemies so that we can recognize them. And when I say arguments of our enemy, I mean an enemy against the freedom and independence of man. Above all, I believe that man should be free and independent to make decisions about his own life. And I believe that is completely aligned with God's wish to bestow free will upon us. See, he does not force himself upon us. He wants us to be free and independent to make our own decisions. So I don't know if any of you have heard the word theocracy. That's basically where you have a government that is completely, filled with religion, so that there is a government religion. I am not for that. I am for separation of church and state, and therefore, if people want to be atheist, if people want to be Buddhist, I'm all for that. I totally disagree with them, and I would like to be able to engage them in a conversation on why I believe in Christianity. But I do not want to force my belief upon anybody. Like I said, the main thing that I hold up is the freedom and independence of man to make his own decision, unimpinged by a big government, a big socialist government. So I'm not going to scream and holler this video. I took a lot of flack from my last two videos, and this is probably going to be a boring video. And if you came to this particular video looking for me to scream and holler, I kind of got it out of my system, and I just do that every now and then, and the only thing I look back on in making those videos is I wish I would not have said the words GD so much, because I know that is so offensive to the Christian community, and I do consider myself a Christian. I wish I would have picked some other cuss words besides GD, but I was speaking from the heart, and I believed everything I said in those two cussing videos, and I believe it needed to be said. And the only regret I have is using the word GD so much, and I'll try to control myself in the future. But like I said, the vowels and the consonants that come out of my mouth are insignificant to the bigger things that are going on in our country that we all need to be aware of. So again, this is probably going to be a very boring video series, but I wanted just to talk about it. I'm not saying that I am a know-it-all. I am not saying that I have it all figured out and I have the right answers and I'm trying to throw this upon you. I love to debate. All of these issues, I love to debate them. And so if you want to attack my belief system and what the point of view that I'm going to espouse, let's do it, and let's get in a healthy debate. I promise not to personally attack you unless you personally attack me first. So anyway, having stated that, it looks like, it might take two videos, but here goes. I've said this many times, but this body that I'm speaking from is inhabited by my soul, and I believe that it's just a vessel. This body is just a shell. And at some point in the future, this material universe will fade away. And I'm not, whether I'm white or black, brown, yellow, red, that is going to be so insignificant. What is going to be significant is the actions that I took up in this world and my belief systems that I held and how I treated other people. And I believe, there's this thing called circle of empathy, and atheists will use it to claim that that's part of how they develop morals. And I'll just say it, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is how they believe. If you have a family member that dies, you're completely devastated. If you have a cousin that dies, you're deeply impacted. If someone on the other side of town dies, you'll pause in front of the television and have a moment of sadness. If somebody on the other side of the world dies, you will have a momentary moment of silence, and you may not even have a second thought about it. So that's what's called the circle of empathy. As the circle gets wider and wider, you have less and less empathy, but you do have a circle of empathy for people that are very close to you. See, I believe I hold a circle of empathy with every single person on the planet, even after they die. See, I don't believe that, unlike the atheists who believe that when you die, it's completely over with, they put you in the ground and you're nothing but worm food, I believe that I'm going to be held accountable to every single individual that I ever came into contact with, and I want to treat them as like I would like to be treated myself. And it doesn't matter their belief systems or their skin color, obviously. And a lot of you will say, you talk so much about skin color and racism that you must have a problem with it. No, I don't. But when I look at YouTube videos and I look at the rants, I see people ranting against Muslims or ranting against Jewish people. And I don't know what the ethnic background of all these elitist bastards are, whether they may be all Jews or not. The bottom line is that we have to be accountable for our actions. We all have to purge ourselves of hatred based upon somebody's ethnicity. And I see that on YouTube so much, that's the only reason I talk about it. It's not because I got a personal issue about it. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to talk about race. Let's talk about it. But when I see a problem, I want to bring it out in the open because it's just my nature to do so. And I believe this body is just a vessel. Now, if you want to go on a rant and rave and say, you know, all Muslims are screwballs or all Jewish people are evil people, let's not phrase it like that. Let's phrase it such that people who commit corruption and take advantage of their fellow man and who do abhorrent acts to their fellow man need to be punished. You know, and if they all happen to be a certain ethnicity, that's fine. But let's approach it from the perspective of we abhor the acts that they do, not approach it from the perspective of broad brushing a particular ethnicity. So I just wanted to, you know, really relay my feelings on that. Is that I believe this body is a vessel, and that, you know, no matter what my color is, polka dot, you know, green, purple, blue, you know, that's not the important thing. It's the actions and my belief systems that are the most important thing. And, you know, I just offer that for all of us to consider. And again, I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just making a freaking video. And I figure if you stayed with me this long, you're obviously, you know, you want to possibly engage me in a conversation. I'd love to talk with you about these things. The second thing is, and it's probably going to be 2 videos, I think mankind is coming upon a point in our timeline where we're going to be presented with some very important decisions regarding science and technology versus the sovereignty of man's soul. And this comes up in the Zeitgeist movies. This comes up in, you know, Bill Joy was the CEO of Sun Microsystems. For those of you that do not know, Sun Microsystems is a very high-tech company that develops a very high-level, very popular server that, you know, sold worldwide. And his name is Bill Joy. He wrote a paper, and you can Google it. It's called Why the Future Needs Us. Now, another aspect of that is Ted Kaczynski. He's the Unabomber. And just because somebody does something abhorrent doesn't mean I don't read what they have to say, and it doesn't mean I condone what they do, obviously. But read Bill Joy, Why the Future Needs Us, and also read Ted Kaczynski manifesto. And he was more on the Luddite side of things, which he abhorred all technology. Luddite. Look that word up, Luddite. And I'm not saying Bill Joy has it right. I don't even think Bill Joy came to a conclusion in his paper, but he does lay out the arguments. He lays out the arguments for giving up the sovereignty of man's soul versus machine science and technology. And then Ted Kaczynski manifesto also has that as a piece of it as well. So I just wanted to be very clear that when this issue comes up from my belief system, I entirely and completely, with every fiber of my being, want to be on the sovereignty of man's soul and our sovereignty to make decisions about our own life. And I will never ever hand decisions about morality and judgment of prisons and things like that over to a machine. I just will not do that. I don't care how powerful machines get in the future. I'm always going to fall on the side of the sovereignty of mankind and never ever give that over to machines. There's maybe 4 more topics I want to talk about in the second video, and hopefully we'll only make it 2 videos. God bless every single one of you. Part 2 coming up.